I want to bring in our guest, Eyal Biram, Captain in Reserve from the Israeli Defence Forces, who's with us in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for coming in today. You can't dispute that now we've got some more trucks going over the border. That is badly needed for the innocent civilians caught up in this. That must be welcome.
I think we all feel about every citizen right now. Civilians are targeted, unfortunately, by Hamas on Saturday last week, on the 7th of October, when they entered Israel with thousands of terrorists, murdering, raping, slaughtering, beheading babies. And of course, I'm, as an Israeli, think also on the Palestinian side. We do not fight the Palestinians, we fight Hamas. And that's why the Israeli Defense Forces announced and tried to do all of its capacity in order to make sure that the Gazan people from the Gaza City, from the north side, going south, in order to create for them a comfort and a safe area, while the IDF will fight the Hamas terrorists and do the mission that we have, and which is bringing more than 200 hostages, 210 by number, that were announced today, back home.
And is it safe for them to go, though? We know because Israel has this blockade and people are running out of fuel, so it's very difficult for them to move. And we know that there has been bombing, certainly air attacks, in the south of Gaza. So how safe is it for people to move? You've given them this evacuation order, but they're stuck, basically, aren't they?
I'm not sure about it. Pictures showing that many people, and by numbers, it was announced that 750,000 people already went south. I wish more people will go. The challenge that the civilians face, the Palestinians in Gaza right now, that Hamas is stopping them from going south. They are interested in having a human shield. They are interested to see pictures of families that will be killed on the way, because they are not interested, of course, in the life of the Palestinians. They have just one goal, and which is destroying Israel. And for Hamas, this is part of their strategy, putting their civilians first, making sure that it will not be easier for them to go south. I just saw a video over Instagram of a Palestinian Gazan that's saying that Hamas took his keys for his car, then he cannot drive south. And they're using this strategy again and again. And they're pushing people to stay at home and not to go south. And this is why the IDF continuing by sending messages, by making an announcement, because we are not targeting civilians. When Hamas entered Israel and crossed the border on 7th of October, they did target the civilians. So they entered the villages, they murdered the people, they raped the women in front of their families, they beheaded the babies, images that we cannot imagine. And that's why we differentiate between fighting Hamas and the Palestinian civilian people.
Yeah, it's difficult to differentiate sometimes, though, because innocent people you'll accept, are going to get caught up in this. Not very helpful, is it? These leaflets that we understand have been dropped, telling people that if they don't leave the north and head south, that we've heard overnight, they'll be treated as terrorist sympathisers. That's appalling language, isn't it, for the innocent people caught up in this, who the Israelis are telling, giving this ultimatum to move south.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is the best way we can in order to tell them. No, let's make the comparison for a second. On 7th of October, 6:30 in the morning, when Hamas started to shoot rockets and to send their forces to Israel, nobody sends the messages for the people who live in Be'eri, in Kfar Aza, in the villages across the border, telling them, take a few days, go to central of Israel. Hamas would just want to target the army. Of course, they didn't target the army. They target the weak people that haven't had any opportunity to defend themselves. And that's why they targeted the civilian area. They killed families of 10 and took 2 hostages. And for example, this is a picture of Kfir, a baby that was took hostages, and he's 6 months old. And there are many other examples of baby. There's 30 babies and kids held by Hamas right now. So, of course, the question is it legitimate? I think by understanding the entire situation, we should do in all of our capacity as citizens of the world, as human beings, in order to make sure that civilians will not be involved in any casualty. But if Hamas forcing them to stay, we cannot help them. This is their decision.
Why do you think Israel hasn't sent in its troops? Why hasn't it been this ground incursion yet? Here we are, more than 2 weeks on now.
Yeah. The IDF tried to make all the preparation in order to make sure that civilians in the Palestinian side in Gaza will not be hurt by the attack. That's why they are giving time for them. They're giving them more than a week to go south. They are sending messages over the media, calling even people for their homes. Please evacuate. We are not interested to hurt you. But if someone decides that they support Hamas and they want to stay, this is their decision.
Are there mixed messages, perhaps, from Israel? There was talk last week of another way forward. They wouldn't necessarily send troops in, but here we are. It's 15 days since the 7th, with, it looks like, every day we're talking about when our troops are going to go in. Do you think that will happen? That's a foregone conclusion?
We have 210 hostages held by Hamas. Hamas can release them, can stop shooting rockets to Israel, can send maybe part of their images that they can have, that we can still identify the bodies of the people they slaughtered. But as soon as they don't do it, and of course Hamas as a terror organization have no interest in the Palestinian people. I'm saying it because right now we are not just fighting for Israel, we're also fighting for the Palestinian people. They're the ones who've been held by Hamas. They're the ones who have no free rights. They're the ones who have no free media. They're the ones that cannot be any other ways of having their life rather than supporting Hamas and being sent their kids to death. So that's why right now this war, and I said it again, is not against the Palestinian people. It's in favor of the Palestinian people.
Can we talk about Mr. Netanyahu? How is Israel generally looking at him? We know there was a spectacular failure to predict this onslaught on the 7th of October. And in fact, he has said now, as we were saying in some breaking news a few minutes ago, that the Gaza war, as he does, he's gone to see a few troops, and he says the Gaza war is do or die for Israel. The public haven't got a very big opinion of him, he's not in favour, are they, of him right now?
Right now, I think everyone in Israel focused on one thing, and this is finishing the war and winning this war and bringing back the hostages home. It's very hard to think about the day after. I understand from my previous experiences and looking for the history of Israel for the Yom Kippur War 50 years ago, that usually after wars there will be elections and will be changes in the government. But right now I think there is a unity, and that's something that we haven't seen before that in the Israeli society in winning this war, making sure that there will not be threat for people who live next to the Gaza area. They will be safe, and there will not be any attendance of Hamas terrorists around the houses, that this situation can never happen again, similar to the Holocaust.
All right, well, let's leave it there for now, but we'll obviously have you on the programme again. I do appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very much,
Thanks
Nick.
indeed.